to everyone. Good afternoon. It's certainly lovely and sunny here in London. So I've kind of been locked out of Kuwait and I'm sitting in London right now. But a very lovely feeling, not feeling trapped at all in any way. So yes, lovely topic today, Mem of Love. Let's maybe just introduce the topic and then move into some of the thoughts of how we can create this. So how to, it's not so easy to explain what is the Mem of Love, but you can say it's something like, I would give the example of like how fashion gets passed on from one person to the next. So there are, of course, official channels that promote fashion, but the odd lay person on the street may not even have access to those. But how does that person know that this is what's in vogue, that this is now the style? So apart from seeing, there's something that is being passed on in the consciousness. And so you can say that we are assimilating things by virtue of viewing things, feeling things through the culture, and we pick them up and it kind of becomes a part of our life, a part of our language. But on a spiritual level, it's actually about creating a consciousness. It's actually as simple as creating a very powerful thought. Now, as with fashion, you kind of have to be in that vicinity, but with spirituality, you don't. It can be something that's transmitted to the far corners of the earth, and they also picking it up from you. So when we are talking about creating this new Mem of Love, it's about creating a new culture of love, creating a new vibration, a new transference of love. And I think that can be a very easy practice if we just really put our mind to it, if we just really put our attention to it. Lots of things to share with you today. Let's maybe identify a bit about love. And I have a few little quotes in between, I'll tie in with that. But love is such, really, if you really look into the quality of love, it is such a deep divine quality. And just the quality of love. Why is the word love used so much? And yes, why do we, represent it with the heart? Because love is really all encompassing. Sometimes when you don't know what word to put to it, you just say, oh, I felt some love. Okay, for example, you go to somebody's house and they made you a nice hot cup of tea or some hot pies, or to the Hindi family, maybe hot pakoras. And what do you feel? It's care, it's concern, it's kindness. But what will you say? You will just say, oh, it's love. Right? So love is respect, love is kindness, love is appreciation, love is actually tolerance, love is acceptance, love is non-judgmental, love is selfless. Love is everything. In all these qualities, you can say the mother or the root is actually a sense of love, right? So let's maybe draw the correlation between what is emotion and what is love. And people get confused with this because I think the emotion of love is actually what traps the people. The emotion of love is, yes, I think purely based on lust. The emotion of love is a vice. And in that, there is certainly the feeling of being trapped, or a feeling of longing without being fulfilled. Whereas love is actually liberating. Yes, I had this here. Yes, so love is liberating, not binding. Love gives, not takes. Love is permanent, not temporary. If it's real love, yes, spiritual love. Love is equal to all and not biased. Love is kind. Love adds to relationships and not takes away from them. So love, I see it as love is a virtue, which is like just like this, where you're cool, you're calm. Your energy when you're in love, pure love, is that you're just a very calm person. But when there's the love of the emotion, when there's the emotion of love, then the emotion goes like this. And we actually even say emotion is energy in motion. So it's actually high and low. 1 minute you're high, 1 minute you're low. Very much like that, the super dip at the fair. Forgot the name, but where you have all those rides. And you get the high, which is the adrenaline, but then equally, there will be the drop. There'll be the depression. So when that drug of love is not felt anymore, you don't get it anymore from your other, special other, then then there'll be this feeling of really becoming quite depressed. Whereas the feeling of love keeps you stable. You see, try to just imagine it like this, the pure love, whether it's there or not, but the feeling of that pure love just keeps the soul very stable. And that's the beauty actually of spiritual love. And I wanted to also share with you something about the studies that Stephen Hawking has done. And this I find really fascinating. So I think you all know Stephen Hawking, right? He's a physicist, he's an author. He also happens to be founding director of the Institute of Spiritual Research. And I want to show you this, this list of the frequencies that he has come up with, okay? And I'll show you how he's come up with that. So at the top is bliss, which is 1,000, let's say 1,000 reading. Peace is 600, love is 500. And he's saying you kind of have to be at least above 200 to be in a kind of happy state. And as you go lower, there's anger, 150, fear, 100, grief, despair, guilt, 30, shame is 20. So this is the kind of energy that you're vibrating on. And how they came up with this figure was, do you know this thing called kinesiology, where they do muscle testing? So you're lying flat and this kinesiology will actually test your muscle, and your muscle actually gives the answers. And a lot of people do this for food testing to see if they're allergic to something or not. So anyway, 250,000 calibrations were made on different people, so 250,000 people, over 20 years. And they were checked for a variety of their attitudes, emotions, and how it corresponded to levels of consciousness. And so this is how they measured it, how they felt and how it affected their consciousness. So it's very interesting that, you can see how even Ananda, last 2 weeks ago, I was giving a talk on something and I remember looking into Ananda. So Ananda is the bliss, it's the joy, it's the contentment. And that's what every faith is trying to aspire to, which they call here as bliss, as they call it enlightenment. When you're really blissed out, then you're really in that enlightenment. So love is pretty much high up on that spectrum. And I think we can all say that, when we are feeling like we can give love, we're in a good state. But when we can't give love, then obviously there's something not right. Why am I not able to give anything? I mean, primarily love, because as I said, love translates into all these different qualities. So what stops us from giving? And obviously there's something inside that doesn't feel fulfilled. Maybe I myself am not giving myself enough love. And also let me add that in Western thinking, there's always this thinking of Everything you need, you get from out there. And in Eastern thinking, everything you need, you get from inside here. And so if we go back to that Eastern thinking of, well, what is the source of my love? If I'm really looking for it from something out there or someone out there, then everything outside of me is temporary. So at some point, it's going to fade, isn't it? At some point, it's going to run out. So let me find, and this is what I used to say to myself, because obviously growing up as a teenager, it's not that I was immune to love. But through my lessons in life, I realized that I want to find a more permanent source of love, where it's not fleeting or it's not painful, but it's, as I said, all these qualities, it's permanent, it's everlasting. And that really is God's love, but we'll come to that in a minute. So yeah, just to also add, yeah, so to connect that with also attachment, many people confuse lust with love, they confuse attachment with love, and they say that, well, I love my child. And is it love or is it attachment? I'm sure there is love, but it's also consumed with attachment, meaning that there's more attachment than there is real pure love. And we know this. How do we know this? Because we know when the child doesn't do what the mother says, for example, then why does the mother get hurt? Okay, or your spouse or your friend or whoever. We say, oh, I love my friend, this is my best friend. But as soon as they don't do what I want them to do, or they do something that I don't want them to do, then why is it that the heart shrinks, the doors of the heart close, and there's not that flow of love anymore? So that proves that it wasn't spiritual love in the first place, because if there was just spiritual love, there would be acceptance for that person. There wouldn't be judgment. There wouldn't be, I wouldn't be, reprimanding them or telling them off, or it's just, you accept them for what they are, for their flaws and their strengths. And this is spiritual love, where it gives space in that relationship. And then lust, people think lust is love, and they go looking for love in a lustful relationship. And we also know that that is not fulfilling, because if it was fulfilling, then you would settle down with one person, and that's not always the case. And even if you do settle down with one person, then it's not everlasting. And then you're looking for new avenues to find love. So, as I said, sitting with myself, actually a question to you, sitting with yourself. Do you really love yourself? Just ask yourself that question. How would you answer that? You don't need to answer me now, but just ask yourself this question. Do you really love yourself? And if I really love myself, then am I being kind in terms of what I'm doing to myself, my habits, my practices, my patterns of behavior, exercising maybe vice over virtue? Am I treating myself well in that way if I really love myself? So what does it really mean to love the self? Because if I'm to create this new mem of love and to really, spread that message out, then I need to be the embodiment of it. In other words, I need to be so full of it that it's okay if others want. The reason why I'm bargaining and bartering my love is because I don't feel I have enough of it. Wouldn't you bargain and barter something if you felt that you didn't have enough? Like if you have, say, £100 and that's your £100 for the month, then you might say, oh, okay, well, I can't give you that much. But, or same with food. If you only have a limited amount of food, then you really watch over it, right? But if you've got abundance, then giving away a little here and a little there, it's not going to make any difference. So you don't look over it, in a selfish way. You just, if you have enough, you just give. But then what is enough? That's the question, isn't it? What is enough? Do I feel I have enough love for me and everybody else? So when I start to fill myself, this is what we do in meditation, we start to fill ourselves with God's love, because God is the only source. And however you understand God, I'm not going to talk about my belief of God, but God is that ultimate supreme energy, supreme light. And he is full of love. We always say God is the ocean of love. So ocean means that it never runs out. And all I need to do is to connect. That's why we say yoga. Yoga means union, connection. So it's like when I plug the laptop, say I plug the laptop to the mains. What am I doing? I'm connecting it to the source so that the power can flow. Every day I'm charging my phone so that the battery can be recharged. So how am I filling myself with that love? I have to connect with God. The problem is we connect with people and things, right? Like say you like gardening. You say, oh, I love gardening. What does it mean to love gardening? It's a chore, isn't it? It's a job. It's hard work. But what is it about love gardening? Love means what? I'm happy to play with the plants. I'm happy to play with the dirt. I'm happy to pick up the heavy, whatever weeds and rubbish that comes out of it. I'm happy to plant the flowers. Like when you love doing something, it means you're willing to put all your love into it. But that's because you have the love for it. Maybe you don't love washing dishes, but you love gardening. So you're willing to put some energy there, but not the other energy there. So we need to have so much in us that we're able to put that energy to everything we do. And that's when we start spreading that love. Let me give you an example. Like many years ago, in our center in London, Global Cooperation House, one of our students from Kuwait had visited Global Cooperation House. And she was pretty new, so didn't understand much about how everything works. But that's okay. But she was a new student. She wanted to visit. She spent the day there. And she noticed how there was one sister, we say sister, one lady who had been cleaning the bathrooms, and she was just going from that set of bathrooms to another set of bathrooms with her all her stuff, all her cleaning supplies. And she had her apron and her gloves and all the detergents and brushes and everything in that little square bucket. So she was walking across, and what this lady remembered is that she saw an angel walk past. She didn't remember that it was somebody cleaning the bathrooms. So how does one give that kind of a vision? Only if you really do it with that love, right? So this sister, who obviously that was her duty at that time, they all take turns. It's not just she's cleaning all the bathrooms. There's quite a few people doing all the cleaning all the time. But at that moment, she must have been doing it with so much love, so much joy, that what was the overriding aura, vibration, feeling coming from her, which this new student caught on, was, oh, this sister was an angel. So we've seen this many times also in our seniors, in the founder of the organization, Brahma Baba, where they would do certain things, but never have this consciousness of, oh, it's hard work, or, oh, do I have to do it? Or, oh, I don't like to do it. Or why me? Why can't somebody else do it? But they just infused it with that love. And this is what we need to do in everything we do, everything we touch. We need to infuse our actions with that love. And this is where I want to bring in the idea of osmosis, because I don't know if you did this experiment at school, but you have like a colored beaker of water and you have plain water. And then you pour this colored beaker of water into this plain water and it starts to merge, right? Until there is no separation. In other words, the two become one. And this is what we are talking about, is the transference of our consciousness. See, when I am purely vibrating with love, then what am I transferring to everything out there? In fact, everything I touch, right, will be with that love. Even who we define as Mama. Mama was the lady who kind of looked after all the sisters in the organization, and she took care of their program, daily program, and looked after them. So she also would say, when you walk the earth, make sure that you walk so lightly that you don't hurt Mother Earth. Like, imagine some people walk and they're thumping, no awareness of, you know, the energy that's like a tornado or a tsunami. And when others walk, purely like an angel. So what creates the difference? It's the consciousness, isn't it? It's the consciousness in the mind that creates that difference. And so this is what we need to do, is to be just more and more mindful that I am an embodiment of love. And as I keep emphasizing, love means all these other qualities. Love is not just love, but love is to be virtuous. Love is to be kind. Love is to be compassionate. When I embody this quality, then what am I emitting out there? You see, this is the thing. And there's another person, Greg Braden, who mentions that we are actually a part of a big consciousness, universal consciousness. And he's saying that we are actually connected to something greater than something outside of what he defines as, he calls this a simulation. What we are living now is a simulation. But there is actually some greater force that we are connecting to that's outside the simulation. So in other words, in his language, this is not quite real. We are not quite really living. This is not our reality. Our reality is that we are supposed to be images of love, beings of love, and radiating love. But once we enter this realm, this simulation, he calls it, then we get influenced. We get colored. We, like now, what has happened to everyone? Everybody's afraid. So that's another kind of mem, isn't it? The mem of fear, where everybody's, one person was afraid. And I mentioned this story in another talk, that, you know, the ghost came to kill 3 people. But anyway, the story goes, the ghost came to kill 3 people, and the saint said, no, you can't come to this village. And he said, but according to karmic duty, I have to come. So the saint said, okay, but only 3 souls. You will only take 3 souls with that smallpox disease. He said, okay. So next day, 3 people died of smallpox. And then the day after, more died. And the day after, more died. So then the saint said, no, you deceived me. You said you will only take 3 people. And he said, I did. He said, but the rest killed themselves out of fear. So he didn't kill them, but they, seeing others, got influenced, got scared, and then created their own death through that lowering of immunity or fear. So once we really, I would say, like, once we really emit, imagine if, and I call it like a bomb of love. I call love the only weapon as well. I've written about that as well. Say love was your only weapon. Say you didn't have any other weapon except love. Say somebody did come to insult you, or of course, physical abuse is something else and you need to take more professional help. But if it's things that you can kind of handle amongst yourselves. So imagine if you just bomb blasted them with love from your heart. And this doesn't mean you go give them a hug. This doesn't mean you shower them with flowers. But if in your heart you just had that love and compassion, because every person that is acting out of vice is, I feel, reaching out. They're in pain and they're reaching out for help. And if you are full of love and you're able to give that love, then why not to give that love? Douse their anger with your love. And many people become like little children once they are given that love, because it's the attention that they're seeking. The love in this sense is the attention. See, as little children, we used to get angry. And once I cried, I shouted, I stamped my feet, I got some attention from mom. So then as I grow up as an adult, I think, okay, to get some attention, I can use the same patterns. So I feel really when people are really angry, frustrated, sure, they may have a good enough reason, but this is the important thing. We always have a choice. We always have a choice as to how to express that emotion. And let us try to find the best avenue. Let us try to find the best choice that we have, you see. We all have the ability to choose. So why not to choose the best? Why to choose anger? Because anytime I choose anger or hatred, I'm just planting more of the same. There was another thing, as you know, that went viral in the UK. At least I think it was in the UK, where one of these brothers picked up a white man and took him to rescue. I mean, suddenly that becomes big news when, you know, it should be just natural to help your fellow brother. Why do we? Anyway, let me not go there. But the point is that the love should be all very natural to us. It shouldn't seem like it's a heroic act. It's become a heroic act because we're not utilizing it as much, you see? So the more I'm able to become it myself, when we really feel it, when we really feel God's love, then we are able to transmit that and make that a wave. And that's what we need to do, actually. We need to create that wave of love. And the other thing is people forget to trust. They don't trust love. They think that it's not powerful enough. But again, I think we've seen stories of how love overcomes everything. I'm sure you've got your own personal stories, and love has moved communities, love has moved nations. So I think we shouldn't underestimate the power of love, and we should really, as I say, assimilate it more and more into our life. Love also, you can say, has to become our truth. Love has to become our north. You know, when people ask us, what is your north? What is the compass? North is always directly. Well, see, once you know north, then you know all the other directions. So if love is my north, love is my truth, love is my mission, love is my purpose, then I know everything else that I need to do around it. If I'm doubting, if I'm questioning the power of love, then I'm in doubt. That means I don't have faith. And then that means I'll utilize another quality. And if I use another quality, again, that's going to take me to another end, because that's not the same avenue as love. So really, let me create this, let's say, the compass of truth, the compass of love, and let me really make that my north. In other words, that's what I need to do. And there shouldn't be a doubt about that, I feel. Let us not question the power of love. And let us not be deceived by the power of love. And so Buddha said that when you like a flower, you pluck it. And when you love a flower, you water it daily. Yeah, when you like a flower, you just pluck it, pick it off its branch. But when you love it, you water it daily. And I have something from the Bible, which is very nice, I'd like to read. So love is patient, kind. Love does not envy, boast, dishonor others. Love is not proud, self-seeking, easily angered. Love keeps no records of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. Love always protects, trusts, hopes, perseveres. Love never fails. And now these three remain: faith, hope, and love. But the greatest of these is love. That's from the Bible. And I have something from Dadi Janki's book, Companion of God. As you know, she passed away earlier this year. We miss her a lot. Dadi Janki, she was 104 years old. Let me see if I have a picture. No, there's one inside, but no. So this is Dadi Janki's little take on love. If your companion is God, then even if you are alone, you will never feel lonely. Happiness will be yours whether you are with other people or not. God's love produces a variety of such magic. It enables us to interact with love and cooperation. It makes us into sources of mutual inspiration. With worldly love, there is sometimes the concern that this is going to interfere with one's career or studies. But love for God only enhances your ability to perform on all levels. That's Study Janki. And a little bit of Rumi, because you know Rumi writes a lot on love. And I just love Rumi. Rumi, he was Turkish. Well, that was when Turkey had its big empire. So, a life without love is of no account. Don't ask yourself what kind of love you should seek: spiritual or material, divine or mundane, Eastern or Western. Divisions only lead to more divisions. Love has no labels, no definitions. It is what is pure and simple. Love is the water of life, and a lover is a soul of fire. The universe turns differently when fire loves water. The universe turns differently when fire loves water. Right? So that's cooling everybody down with the water. And then just to talk about something else before we get into a meditation. So these are the famous words of Frank Sinatra. And so Frank Sinatra was saying in one of his famous songs that, and this is the thing that we forget, isn't it? It's the idea of falling into love. So falling in love with love is falling for make-believe. Right? Falling in love with love is falling for make-believe, which means something not true. Falling in love with love is playing the fool. This is Frank Sinatra's opening lines of his song. So it's this idea, we fall in love with the idea of falling into love. And this is the romantic myth, isn't it? That there is some Prince Charming waiting for me out there, and I have to find this Prince Charming, and then only then will I become complete. So I believe there is a yearning, a seeking for love, but at this point in time, I believe it's a yearning and seeking for God's love. I really do. And so what I'd like to do now is do a little meditation on God's love. And then I'm happy to take any questions. And I think there's something else happening afterwards as well. So can we just do a little meditation on that? So just sit comfortably. So first of all, I get in touch with myself, really with myself. And I talk to myself as a friend would talk to you, or you would talk to someone as a friend. So I say to myself, how lovely, how wonderful I am. I love myself for all my strengths and my flaws. I love myself as I am. No matter what shape of my body, what color of my body, how many wrinkles, but I really love myself. Just repeat these words and repeat them with that belief and conviction. Don't just repeat because I'm asking you, but really say it with the heart. I truly love myself. I love my life. I have made the best decisions that I know to be right, to be true. I love my decisions. I love my choices. I love what I have created with my career. I love all the things that I have learned, the things that I have taught myself. When I eat with love. I give love to my food. And when I walk and when I move, when I touch, when I hold, I do so with love. I have so much love inside of me that it is oozing out from me to everyone, to every corner of my aura. I am that bubble of love. And now I'd like to just connect with God, who is that supreme bubble of love. As I bring myself face to face with that light, I just feel his waves of love. He is so happy to see me. And I too am so happy to see my love. God's love makes me forget every weakness about me. God's love just highlights the strengths. God's love shines the light on my strengths. God's love is healing. Nurturing. Just being in this presence of this beautiful, vibrating golden light. I feel so safe and secure. I can feel myself becoming fuller and fuller. Feeling more content. Don't need anything else. I feel a deep peace inside of me. It's God's love, the touch of God's love, the magic of God's love. And when you're ready, come back to this seat of yours. But right now you're feeling so full of that godly love, divine love, that it has to just ooze out of you. You cannot help but share this godly love. Godly love is pure. It's infinite. So right now, as you are back on your seat, I would like you to think of somebody. Just think of them and just shower them, just zap them with your divine love. So just hold their image. It can be your friend, it can be your enemy, anyone. Just bring them to the forefront of your consciousness and just really zap them with your godly love. Just stay in this for a few seconds. And I would like you to check the time. And then later, you can ask them if they received this balm of love on this day at this time. So let's come back. And as I said, I'm happy to take some questions now. Devindri, would you like to ask me the questions? Devindri? Here's a question. How do we stabilize ourselves during upheaval? When do we reach the phase of decision making? What should be our mindset? They're different questions, I guess. So, okay, how do we stabilize ourselves during upheaval? Well, the thing is, you know, we always say, like, you have to have the fire brigade there before, right? Or you have to have the fire extinguisher there before the fact and not after the fact. So we need to prepare. Right now, we need to prepare for times of chaos so that we feel from inside we have everything that we need that will keep us calm and stable at a time of upheaval. It's a bit like what they're suggesting now. Everybody's suggesting that we should stock up for food because there will be scarcity of food because a lot of people have not been working and lots of farms as well as meat places have been shut. And so there's going to be scarcity of food. So we should stock up now. When it's an upheaval, we don't go running for it there. That's what we call panic buying. So in the same way, we need to stock up here in the soul. I can't say, oh, at that time I will be stable. You have to have the practice. You have to have, you know, exercised your muscles so that you have that strength to carry that moment forward. So I suggest you go to the center, take the meditation. There's a lot of online courses that are happening as well. When do we reach the phase of decision making? I'm not sure what you mean, the phase of decision making. Maybe you mean when can I make the right decision? Because for this, again, you see, if I'm in charge of my mind and my thoughts, then already I'm conscious of the thoughts that I'm creating, then I have less to filter, you see? If already there's a lot of negative, a lot of waste thoughts, then that takes a long time to filter. So filter here means the decision making. It's a bit like, say, you have a lot of these fresh peas, but out of them, half of them are not so good. Or say coriander or some other herb. So sorting them out takes more effort, doesn't it? It takes a lot of effort to sort that out. So why not to just have a clean bunch? Why not to just buy fresh? In the same way, let us make it our policy that we have to think positive and powerful thoughts. Because if I don't create positive and powerful thoughts, then it's going to make my decision making more complicated. Because then I'm going to think, should I do this or should I do that? Is it like this or is it like that? You see? So I make it very difficult for myself. So I often give the example of the juicer. When you have a juicer, the juicer is to put the apples and the carrots. But what if you put a stone in it? Can it juice, or will it break the blade? So in the same way, if my thoughts are not right, and it's, I'm getting confused, I'm very negative, and then I say, oh, now let me make a decision, it's a very heavy load on the intellect, because already I'm, what's the word, oscillating between this and this, and it's very, very debilitating. So just initially, I would say, manage your thoughts, try to really create the right types of thoughts, positive, powerful thoughts, and then your decision making will be easy. What should be our mindset? How do we balance love and logical reasoning? I'm not sure about mindset. I'm going to ignore that unless it's clarified. But how do we balance love and logical reasoning? So this is the question, right, of a head and the heart. I think that's what you're trying to ask. Yeah, it's not easy, but I think I think the word we need to use here is intuition. Intuition means what? Intuition means that there's that inner voice inside of me, and I need to listen to that. This is why we need the silence. This is why we need the meditation. Because if I can listen to that voice of intuition, see, some things are not logical. Like sometimes somebody falls in love with someone, or you even may see a couple and you think, well, what did they see in each other? Because they don't look like your, perfect couple. But obviously they see something in each other. They fell in love with each other for some reason. So sometimes, there's no logic. Sometimes you get into a career or you get into a hobby and you don't know why. It's not logical. Even you might dress up as something or dress in a certain way, and others say, but this is not you. Like, but how do they know you as you? You see, only you know you. So logic is not always the right way. I think we have to trust intuition. So here I would say balance, the intuitive part with the reasoning part. And what I mean about the reasoning part is, sure, you have to weigh things up. Like, it's not just you have intuition to go off on a holiday and you don't have the funds. So that you have to weigh up, follow the intuition, but then balance it with the reasoning. So check, do you have the holiday? Do you have the funds? Do you have the company? And then you make a decision. I'm not sure if I'm answering the questions as they're given, but please do comment or write again if it's not clear. How do you explain love your enemy? Yeah. Well, they're only my enemy because I say they're my enemy. That's my point. Nobody's really my enemy if you think about it. We say about difficult people are those that do what I don't want them to do and don't do what I want them to do. So an enemy is just somebody who is not aligning to what I want in my life, right? Isn't doing what I would love them to do. And even if, okay, I've said this a few times now in the other talks, but even if somebody does insult me, then what is my job? Is my job to insult them back and to create a new karma with them? Or is my job to say, okay, let me settle this karmic account with this person, this give and take, by just saying, okay, you know what? I'm just going to shower you with love. You know, there's a very beautiful story that came my way a few weeks ago, and that is that there were two neighbors, and one neighbor, he hated the other neighbor. So what he did is he took his bin, his dustbin, and he just went and emptied it on his front doorstep. And the other neighbor, being a wise neighbor, he says, okay, I'm going to pick the apples from my garden. He put them in a basket, and he went and put them in front of the door of his neighbor. Right? The one who had the rubbish, he took the apples, he put them on the other neighbor's doorstep with a note. And the note said, you only give what you have. So, of course, he had the rubbish, so that's what he tipped. And this one had the apples or the kindness, and that's what he gave. So, yeah, it doesn't, two wrongs don't make a right, you see? There's many reasons why. Firstly, actually, I would even say, don't even say that they're your enemy. They're your teacher, really. You should thank these people that come to teach you something, to be bigger hearted, or to have more compassion, or have more love. I think this is how we need to see it, actually. And how do we balance love and detachment? So, actually, I always say now, I don't always say just detachment, I say emotional detachment. Because this word detachment can mean that that's it, separation. I have to step away and I have to cut. And it's not about cutting physically, but it's about not taking the pain. Emotional detachment is about not taking the pain from that relationship. So if you can still be with the person, but detach emotionally. So don't invest in that person emotionally, where if your investment doesn't return, then you get upset. So that's why we say just love, but it has to be combined. We say loving detachment. Not 1 minute you love, 1 minute you detach. It's not like that. Loving detachment, where you're loving the other person, but at the same time, you've told yourself, you've taught yourself that I have to be detached. I cannot take any pain or sorrow. I cannot wait. I cannot expect anything extra. If it comes, it's a bonus, but I cannot wait, because this is where we set ourselves up for trouble, you see? And this is where we get hurt. So, I mean, I think we need to put ourselves in those shoes. Like, do you want somebody waiting for something from you? Do you want somebody to be constantly expecting something from you? And this is the heavy toll we put on relationships, where, and there's a very nice picture. I have it in one of the books. What's his name? Andrew something. And there's two people facing each other, husband and wife, very cute figures. And each one is pointing at each other and saying, you're supposed to make me happy. You know, each one is saying to the other, you're supposed to make me happy. And this is the expectation, that this one is supposed to make me happy. And then they don't. And then divorce rates are very high for this reason, that we're not using spiritual values in our relationships. If we really use spiritual values, then everybody would learn to adjust, adapt, give each other that space, not expect, and then they last. The relationships last. Any other question? Is anyone there, or am I talking to myself?
We all around, don't worry, Aruna. Yes.
Any other questions about love, or does everybody feel that it's possible to create this wave, this vibration? Actually, the Brahma Kumaris have been trying to do this for a long time, to really, create this, this family of love. And this is what people feel. Actually, there was, last month, somebody had come by, and it was a Thursday, and on Thursday we make a special sweet. And so they came to pick up a little piece of that sweet. And the way he said, he spoke in Hindi, but he said, "Where do you guys get your love from?" Like he said in Hindi, "Itna pyar kahan se le aate ho?" Like, from where do you get so much love, And it was just such a little deed of just handing over a little piece and a little fruit with a little smile, with a little love. And he was just so touched. So this is my point, that, it's not the big things we need to do, it's the small things. And these small things really just touch the heart. So I want you to go away from here not thinking, oh, I have to do big acts of love. No, just little kind, caring acts of love. And trust. You see, people are afraid to love now. They've shut their heart because the heart has been hurt. But we've got to keep opening the heart and loving. And actually, we didn't even get into ego because I didn't want to go that route. But ego just stops us from loving, doesn't it? We're always saying, no, you first. And the ego doesn't want to drop its mask and say, okay, you know what? I'm happy to break the ice first. I'm happy to bend. I'm happy to bow. I'm happy to give. So the ego plays a big part in blocking our heart, and it doesn't allow us to be, doesn't allow our light to really shine. We have a lot of light to shine, actually, but the ego somehow wants us to be sparing, sparingly it wants to spread the light. So love also means breaking of that ego. Love means humility. Love means to win the other with the heart, from the heart. Any comments, anyone?
I think Aruna, Sister Aruna, if no one else really like to take this opportunity to really thank you so much from the heart of sharing about love. Yes, in order to be that bubble of love and to be so fully present with that love, and do that, do everything with that love, share that love with others, and vibrate with that energy of love. It's every day to make that point of experiencing love for the self, and mostly the magic of God's love, which is so empowering, so nurturing, and so uplifting. So that you highlighted so powerfully. So every day, taking that opportunity to be able to fill the self, so that I can constantly be giving without counting, without expecting. And that was really, really lovely. Thank you so, so much for your time. And I know that you're so busy all the time with so much of service and sustenance, but much appreciated for your time that you've given. And thank you, Sister Danielle, for hosting the program and yes, giving this time as well. And our Sister Devendri for introducing so lovingly and so honestly sharing sharing your journey and your experience as well. So much, much appreciated. And also to each one of you, those of you who are on YouTube and on Zoom. So thank you for joining us. Thank you for making this afternoon so special and lovely, and really to take the gift away of just loving yourself, that beautiful, beautiful gift. And I like the reflection that Sister Aruna left with us, to sit in silence and really reflect and see, ask the self, how much do I really love myself? And nice to bring that feeling. And what I really loved so much, the awareness that, you know, if I like to do something and I love to do some things and not other things, means that still there needs there's some gaps that needs to be filled within myself for love. A lovely checking point as well. Do I just love to do everything that's needed to be done? And do I love everyone unconditionally? That's a real checking as well. If I love some and not others, means there's still gaps within myself that needs to be filled. Thank you and many, many blessings.
Because just to highlight, Shirley Ben, that because if we focused on the love, then it doesn't matter what we do. That's the point, isn't it?
Yes.
But we focus too much on the action, and then we become action conscious. So if my focus is love, then any expression is actually, right now outside there are three very highly educated brothers with very senior jobs, and they are cleaning the front parking lot with this spray, this power jet spray, and the brushes and everything. And that's the kind of thing I mean, that they're just doing it with a lot of love. They're not looking at their senior positions, and it's an act of love to clean the front yard of the center.
So true love really is to do everything that's what's needed, but not to do certain to choose what I have to do. Lovely. So many blessings.
Thank you so much, the whole South Africa family. Lovely.
Pleasure.
To again.
One last inspiration for especially this time that everyone's going through. Sister Aruna.
Yes, so maybe I'll show you this little picture here. So this picture, it says, can you see?
Yes.
So it says, love, only love and peace can heal the world.
Wonderful.
Yeah, so that's kind of, I think, my inspiration for everyone, that don't panic, don't fear, don't worry, keep loving. Love is the opposite of fear. And yeah, if we love, we can get through this together. Yeah, keep loving.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben. Om Shanti.
Thank you. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.
Take care, and everyone take care. Be well, be warm, and be safe.
Thank you.
Om Shanti.
I feel it now. It's all around me. A silent voice I can't deny. A mother's arms, how they surround me. They sing the beauty of my life. It will last forever. It will never fade away. Never cause me pain. This love, this love. I close my eyes. It takes me over. A memory deep down in my soul. And safe from harm to be beside you. A light will shine upon the world. It will last forever. It will never fade away. Never cause me pain. This love, this love. It will last forever.